The boy received his new uniform, but he saw another's name at neckline. He returned the uniform immediately, but the officer tore it off, and his doubts disappeared. Meanwhile, tags piled up under the table, but he didn't know their meaning. He was just excited. Finally, he could serve his country. When they reached the battlefield, countless shells exploded around them. They rushed into an air raid shelter. They were extremely afraid, but the officer ordered them out. But in the next second, they became even more terrified, but they dared not disobey orders. Fortunately, the boy survived. He was buried in rubble. When he regained consciousness, he received a new mission. He was ordered to collect dog tags. Suddenly, he stepped on something. It was a pair of glasses. He immediately realized something, because only his friend wore glasses. But when he found his friend was already dead. At that moment, he cried like a child. He regretted coming to war, but now, he finally understood where his new uniform came from. When soldiers died on battlefield, their uniforms and boots were stripped off and thrown together, then packed and sent rearwards, then cleaned by women, removed blood, finally repaired by tailors, then made into new uniforms. But because there were so many uniforms, tags were often forgotten, and these new uniforms were sent to patriotic young men. 2 years later, the boy was a veteran. Facing enemy shelling, he no longer felt scared. Soon, he charged into enemy command post. Food was on the table, but when he reached to eat, the table shook violently. Even rats fled in panic. He immediately sensed danger and ran outside. He was amazed to find huge iron boxes moving toward them. He was completely stunned. It was the first tanks in battle. Soldiers didn't know what it was, but they knew. Even with wild shooting, they couldn't stop its advance. Soon, the tanks stopped. Next second, shells exploded all around. They had to flee the trench and met machine guns. They were decimated. Facing such defeat, the government had to sign ceasefire. He thought he could go home, but shockingly, an hour before ceasefire, the general suddenly ordered attack. Some soldiers resisted, but next second, they could only return to battle. At that moment, he was completely numb, as if he'd lost his soul. He ran madly toward the enemy and fell into a cellar. Neither side moved. They both waited for the last moment. Suddenly, a blade pierced the boy's chest. When the ceasefire horn sounded, he summoned his last strength and staggered toward the light. But finally, he plunged forever into darkness. His dog tag was taken by a recruit, just like years before.